Standard seating for standard people, my sister said. The wealth report revealed the country's newest billionaire, their standard sister. My name is Cassidy Rios. I'm 32 years old. The invitations for the Greyhaven Lighthouse Gala came in 2 colors. VIPs got cream-colored cardstock with gold emboss, heavy enough to feel important in your hand. I got a plain white Evite with a link to buy a standard seating ticket, the kind of email that probably landed in a lot of spam folders. Standard seating is a polite term for the corner table next to the swinging kitchen doors. From here, every time a waiter rushes out, I get a blast of overheated air and the clatter of pots and pans. But it does offer a perfect, unobstructed view of my sister, Bridget Rios, and my stepmother, Danica Rios, holding court under the grand chandelier. They are radiant tonight, their laughter tinkling just loud enough to carry, celebrated by a town that thinks they're saviors. They are also thieves. From my corner of the room, I can feel the change in the air pressure. The sound of the wind rattling the museum's old, salt-stained windows is getting louder, a low growl that promises more to come. A squall is rolling in off the Pacific, a fitting soundtrack for the evening. The lighthouse beam, the very icon they're here to celebrate, cuts through the growing dark outside, a steady, sweeping pulse of white light. It has always felt like the town's heartbeat, a rhythm you could count on. Now, Danica and Bridget want to sell it for parts, dismantle it for a quick payout to fund a boutique charity that's more about photo ops than actual help. My goal tonight was simple. Watch, listen, and don't give them the satisfaction of a scene. Just be a quiet observer in my cheap dress, a ghost at their feast. My obstacle is the thick, cloying pity in the eyes of people who used to be my colleagues, the whispers that follow me when I get a glass of water from the bar. And the heaviest weight of all is my father, Gerald Rios, the town councilman, who stands near them, beaming with a pride that's reserved for his wife and his favorite daughter. That pride has never once been directed at me. Danica's voice, sharp and clear, cuts through the din. She's talking to Victor Lang, the chair of their foundation. The developer is ready to sign, she says, her smile as sharp as broken glass. The lighthouse sale is a done deal. A cold certainty settles in my stomach. My plan just changed. The quiet observation is over. The confrontation has to happen tonight. I find my dad by the historical display case, looking at a faded photograph of the harbor from the turn of the century. The glass is dusty, and the men in the photo wear thick wool coats against a wind I can feel in my own bones. He sees me approaching and his smile tightens, the corners of his mouth turning down just slightly. It's the councilman's smile, the one he uses for constituents with inconvenient complaints. It is not a father's. I keep my voice low so it won't carry. Dad, you can't let them sell the lighthouse. It's the town's history. It's our history. I can see Mom in that thought, her passion for this place, for the light that guided generations of fishermen home. A history he seems all too willing to forget. He won't meet my eyes. He looks past me toward the center of the room and adjusts his perfectly knotted tie. Cassidy, please, not tonight. This is a very big night for Bridget. My first tactic, a direct, honest appeal to the man who is supposed to be my father, bounces off him like rain off a slicker. There's no purchase, no sign he's even heard the words, only the inconvenience they represent. Her big night is built on my work, I say, the words quiet but feeling heavy as stones in my mouth. The tide buoy schematics, my designs, they paid for this foundation, you know that. The last flicker of hope that he might choose me, that he might choose what's right over what's easy, dies right there. I watch it go out in his eyes. You need to let that go, he says, his voice taking on the hard, dismissive edge he uses when he's closing a debate at a town council meeting. Danica has been working very hard. You should be supporting your family. He doesn't wait for a reply. He turns and walks away, back toward the warmth and light of the main room, leaving me standing with the ghosts in the display case. The options I thought I had, the different paths this night could take, have all narrowed to one. There will be no family reconciliation. There is only the plan. I scan the room, my eyes finally landing on Luisa Vega, my oldest friend, who is standing near the archives room. She's the town's head archivist, a quiet warrior armed with facts and history, and my only real ally in this entire town. She catches my eye from across the crowded floor and gives a nearly imperceptible nod, a tiny dip of her chin. It's the signal. It means she has the documents I asked for, the original grant proposals Bridget and Danica submitted, along with the Foundation's real financial statements, not the polished versions they present to the public. It's a small, crucial win, a piece of the puzzle falling into place. But Danica misses nothing. Her gaze sweeps the room like a searchlight, and I see her eyes narrow as she registers our brief, silent exchange. She excuses herself from her circle of admirers and glides over to Luisa, a shark in a silk dress. I'm too far away to hear the words, but I can see the saccharine smile that doesn't reach her eyes, the condescending pat on Luisa's arm. Luisa's back stiffens, and I know exactly what's happening. My attempt to gather intel has just painted a target on my friend's back. Later, Luisa will tell me what was said. Danica had mentioned how precarious the museum's funding was and how loyal employees were so very valued. It was a veiled threat, as subtle as a brick through a window. The pressure in the room thickens. I'm not just the weird sister anymore. I'm a threat, and Danica is making sure everyone knows it. This problem is wider than I thought. It's not just about my family, it's about the network of control Danica has woven through this town, a web where loyalty is enforced through fear. I need a moment to think, to recalibrate. I retreat to the empty hallway leading to the restrooms to check my phone for a critical update. The air here is cooler, the noise of the gala muted to a dull roar. A new, encrypted message from my attorney, Avery Shaw, is waiting. I open it, my thumbprint the key. The message is short. The final wire cleared at 7:15 p.m. You are officially the majority bondholder of record for Greyhaven Port Authority. They can't sell, lease, or sneeze without your approval. The confirmation of my power settles in my gut, a cold, hard weight of responsibility. It's not a thrill, it's a burden. This isn't a game anymore. As I turn to leave the hallway, I hear voices drifting from the ladies' lounge. The door is slightly ajar. I recognize the voices of two of the town councilmen's wives, their whispers sharp with gossip. Practically insolvent, one of them says. If they don't sell that lighthouse, the Rio's Maritime Foundation is finished. That new charity of Bridget's is just a shell, you know. A way to move the money before it all collapses. The truth hits me like a physical blow. This isn't just about greed or ambition, it's about desperation. They're not just trying to build a new legacy. They're frantically trying to escape the smoldering collapse of their old one. The stakes sharpen instantly. Desperate people don't follow rules, they'll burn the whole town down to save themselves. My phone buzzes again in my hand, a different notification this time. It's a secure message from an old colleague at the Harbor Lab, a brilliant young engineer I once mentored before I was pushed out. The message contains a single file. A chain of forwarded emails from 3 years ago. It's the first piece of hard, undeniable proof I've had. It's the digital smoking gun. The thread begins with Henry Abbott, the lab director who told me my work was promising but ultimately unviable, sending my complete tide buoy schematics to Danica. Her reply is dated just minutes later. Perfect. We'll rebrand this under Bridget's name for the grant. Make sure any credit to Cassidy is scrubbed. Henry Abbott's response is chillingly casual. Consider it done. We'll say her version was unviable. It's a digital confession, cold and clear, proving the theft was a coordinated conspiracy between the foundation and the very lab meant to foster local innovation. Using this will expose my source. It will end his career at the lab he loves. I hesitate, but only for a second. This is bigger than one man's job. I have to burn that bridge. I commit to the new approach. This is no longer a private family battle. It has to be a public execution. I forward the entire email chain to two people, Avery Shaw, my lawyer, and Caleb Wright, the sharp-eyed journalist I've been cultivating for weeks. The subject line is simple: for your 9 p.m. report. I step back into the main hall, the air electric with anticipation. My timing is almost too perfect. Ava Morton, the director of the Lighthouse Museum, a woman whose entire career depends on Danica's goodwill, taps the microphone at the podium. Her voice is bright and cheerful. And in just a few minutes, she announces, we'll hear a special keynote from our foundation leaders, Danica and Bridget Rios, with an exciting announcement about the future of the lighthouse. A wave of polite applause ripples through the room. A ticking clock starts in my head, loud as a drumbeat. They're going to announce the sale before my story can break, locking in the deal and making any revelation a messy afterthought. My original plan to let the news simmer overnight to give the town time to absorb the truth is now completely useless. I have to pivot, and I have to do it hard. I pull out my phone again, my fingers moving quickly across the screen. I send a text to Caleb Wright. Source confirmation on the new Greyhaven billionaire is solid. I am the source. Can you move the publish time? Needs to be in the next 10 minutes. My hands are shaking slightly, a tremor that starts in my chest and radiates outward. This is the point of no return. I've just stepped off the cliff. His reply comes back in seconds. The world loves a good gala reveal. Pushing it live in 5. Get ready. The first sound is a single, clear chime from a phone on a nearby table, a news alert. It's followed almost immediately by another, and then another. Within seconds, a wave of soft electronic tones washes over the room, a digital tide that silences the idle chatter. Every head in the room is down, tilted toward the glow of a small screen. The collective focus is so intense it feels like a physical force. Across the room, I see the headline reflected on the face of a man standing near the bar. It's from a major national wealth report, the kind that moves markets. The anonymous billionaire buying up America's ports is 32-year-old marine robotics pioneer, Cassidy Rios. The truth lands not like a bombshell, but like a change in gravity. My plan was to be a ghost in the machine, an unseen force. Now I'm the headline. A collective, sharp intake of breath sweeps the room. The silence that follows is absolute, a vacuum where a party used to be. Every eye in the room, confused, shocked, utterly disbelieving, turns from their screens and lands on me. The girl in the corner, the one in standard seating. I look directly at my family. My dad's jaw is slack, his face a mask of blank incomprehension. Bridget's face has gone pale, a horrified confusion twisting her features, and Danica looks like she's seen a ghost, a very, very rich ghost. This is the moment, the irreversible choice. I can shrink from their hundreds of stares, let their disbelief swallow me whole, or I can own this. I push my chair back, the sound scraping loudly in the silent room, and I rise to my feet. I don't say a word, I just stand there and meet their gazes one by one. I let them look. I let them recalculate everything they thought they knew about me. I feel a sharp, personal cost as my eyes find my father's. It's not just shock on his face, it's a deep, raw sense of personal betrayal. Not because of what they did to me, but because I became this without him. I did it in spite of him. I accept it. The fragile, frayed cord that connected us for all these years has just been severed for good. The goal is no longer just stopping a real estate deal. The goal, restated in bolder, riskier terms, is to tear down the entire system of whispers and influence that they built, this private club of theirs, and to do it right here, right now, in front of everyone they ever wanted to impress. I am no longer the family secret they kept in the attic. I am the new reality. Danica is the first to recover. The shock on her face curdles into pure, unadulterated rage. She practically runs to the podium, shouldering Ava Morton aside, and grabs the microphone, her knuckles white. "This is a lie," she shrieks, her voice cracking under the strain, the sound echoing in the stunned silence. "This is a fabrication. A malicious attack by a very troubled young woman." She points a trembling, diamond-clad finger directly at me. "My stepdaughter has always been pathologically jealous of Bridget's success. This is nothing more than a pathetic, desperate cry for attention. It's a direct retaliation, a scorched earth attempt to reframe me as unstable and discredit the report before anyone can fully process it." Victor Lang, the foundation chair, a man whose fortunes are tied directly to Danica's, stands and begins to applaud loudly. A few of their oldest, wealthiest allies join in, a smattering of desperate support. The room is now starkly, uncomfortably divided. I see Mayor Marla Jensen, a politician who had been looking at me with a dawning, calculating respect just moments ago, now look away, her face a perfect canvas of political uncertainty. I've lost her, at least for now. Danica is using their last remaining weapon, my old, carefully constructed reputation as the difficult one, the unstable one, the one you can't trust. As if on cue, summoned by the chaos, a massive fork of lightning spiders across the sky, illuminating the room and the churning sea outside in a ghastly white flash. A deafening crack of thunder follows an instant later, so loud it shakes the floorboards and the world goes black. The power is out. A wave of screams and panicked shouts fills the darkness. The museum's emergency generator kicks in with a loud groan, the lights flicker twice, a sickly yellow, and then it dies with a final shudder. We are plunged into absolute, disorienting darkness, broken only by the faint, scattered glow of cell phone screens and the rising sound of the storm raging against the windows. The constraint tightens like a fist around my throat. My financial power, my carefully laid plans, my billions of dollars mean absolutely nothing in a room with no light and no communication. In the chaos and the dark, I feel a presence beside me, hear a voice that is pure venom hissing right beside my ear. It's Bridget. You did this, she whispers, her words sharp with a lifetime of resentment. You always have to ruin everything for me. In the pitch-black, chaotic room, I pull out my phone. The bright screen provides the only steady light in our immediate circle. I ignore Bridget's panicked breathing beside me and open a custom app, the control interface for Nereid Dynamics, the company I built and sold. My thumb hovers for a second before pressing a single, simple icon labeled Greyhaven Grid. A low, powerful hum begins to build from outside, a sound that seems to come from the very ground beneath us. Then, the giant lighthouse beacon itself, dark for only a moment, flashes to life. It floods the museum grounds with a reassuring, sweeping beam of pure white light. A moment later, the museum's interior lights flicker on, not with the harsh, buzzing glare of the main power, but a softer, steadier, cleaner glow. I look up from my phone and speak into the sudden, awed silence. My voice is perfectly calm, carrying easily through the still room. The town's grid is down, I say. We're running on the Nereid 5 microgrid. It's powered by the tide. I had it installed last month as a public utility. The second reveal lands. I didn't just buy their debt, I rebuilt their infrastructure. My power isn't just on paper in some distant bank, it's in the walls. I am literally the one keeping the lights on. Danica and Bridget are speechless, their faces caught in the new, steady light. Their last safe option, painting me as a delusional liar, has just been obliterated by a feat of engineering they can't possibly deny or comprehend. The ticking element in the room accelerates dramatically. With the lights on and the initial shock wearing off, everyone is now actively reading Caleb Wright's full article on their phones, the one that includes the screenshots of the incriminating emails between Danica and Henry Abbott. I see Owen Ramirez, the dockworkers union rep, a big man with calloused hands who had been quietly observing from the back, staring at his phone, his face hardening with a cold, slow-burning anger. I am cornered into playing my final card, the one I hoped I wouldn't have to use. Using a preset connection, I link my phone to the room's public address system. The speakers crackle to life. There's one more thing you all should hear, I announce. Then I press play. A crystal-clear audio recording fills the room. It's Bridget talking to a friend on the phone just last week, a conversation she had no idea was being recorded by a friend who was tired of her arrogance. The dockworkers, please, her voice drips with disdain. They're just standard people. Who cares if they lose their jobs when we sell the port facilities? It's not my problem. The sneering, undisguised contempt in her voice hangs in the air, more damning than any financial document. The real threat to this town isn't a business deal, it's a worldview that sees the people who live and work here as completely disposable. Victor Lang, his face flushed and blotchy, tries to regain control, sputtering about board meetings and proper procedure. He's met with dead, stony silence. No one is listening to him anymore. I hold up a hand and his stammering dies in his throat. Speaking of procedure, I say, my voice cutting through the last of his blustering, the Rios Maritime Foundation is currently in default of its primary bridge loan. A low murmur ripples through the room, a sound of dawning comprehension. They violated a covenant against misrepresenting assets when they used my stolen designs to secure funding 3 years ago. The evidence of that particular fraud is on all your phones right now. I let that sink in, watching the color drain from Danica's face. As the sole owner of that loan, purchased 3 months ago through a simple holding company, I am calling the full amount due, effective immediately. Danica sways on her feet, grabbing the podium for support. Bridget looks like she's going to be sick right there on the polished floor. You have until midnight to wire $4.2 million to my account, I finish, my voice flat and devoid of emotion. Or the foundation's assets, including this museum, will be seized. Their defeat is total and it is public. I turn my attention to my father. He stands frozen, a man caught between his shattered family on one side and the town council members on the other, all of whom are staring at him with a mixture of pity and accusation. "Dad," I say, and the single word spoken so plainly silences the room completely. The port's future is tied to its debt, which I now control. The council can side with the town, its people, and its future, or it can go down with a bankrupt and fraudulent foundation. It's your choice. His core belief that reputation and unwavering loyalty to his family were paramount is shattered right before my eyes. He looks utterly lost. Danica and Bridget look around desperately, searching for an ally, for any friendly face, but everyone, even their oldest friends, avoids their gaze. Their isolation is absolute and suffocating. I offer them one last, fragile possibility, a way out that doesn't involve total ruin, a sliver of mercy I'm not sure they deserve. "However," I announce, and I can see a wild flicker of hope appear in Danica's eyes, "I will forgive the entire loan. I will write it off completely. It will be gone." The hope on her face solidifies. "On one condition," I add, and the hope vanishes. "You both resign from the foundation board and any other public office you hold. Publicly, right now." The final act begins. Danica, her face a ruin of smeared makeup and pure rage, walks stiffly to the microphone. She can barely speak. I resign," she chokes out, the words tasting like poison. Bridget follows, a ghost of her former self, whispering her resignation through quiet, shuddering tears. They are finished. My father starts to walk toward me then, his face etched with a complex, unreadable mix of shame and anger. I hold up a hand, stopping him in his tracks. "Don't," my voice is firm. "This is the direct confrontation, the one we should have had years ago. Your apology isn't for me. It's for them." I gesture to Owen Ramirez and Nora Collins, the operations manager at Greyhaven Seafood, who are standing with a small group of dock workers who'd been hired to work the event. My father's gaze follows mine. He looks at the faces of the people his council has been ignoring for years, the standard people his daughter dismissed so easily. He hesitates, his pride warring with the ruin around him. Then, slowly, he walks over to them. His voice is hoarse, barely a whisper. I am sorry," he says, looking directly at Owen. "We let you down, I let you down. It's not enough, it will never be enough, but it's a start." With the old foundation broken, I immediately announce the new plan. It's an action driven by my midpoint decision to build something better, not just to break what was broken. The Rios Maritime Foundation is dissolved, I state clearly, my voice ringing with authority. In its place, I am creating the Greyhaven Lighthouse Trust. The great lighthouse beam sweeps past the windows behind me, a perfect punctuation. "This light was never meant to be one family's trophy," I say, looking out at the faces in the crowd. "It was meant to be a beacon for everyone in this harbor." The room is silent, hanging on my every word. "The trust is seeded with an initial endowment of $50 million. Gasps echo through the room. The money will be used to completely restore this lighthouse and this museum. It will also fund maritime apprenticeships for the next generation of Greyhaven kids so they don't have to leave to find a future. I turn to the workers, to Owen and Nora. And for the 212 families whose livelihoods were threatened by this sale, your wages are guaranteed. Furthermore, each family will receive a $25,000 stipend from the trust, financed by the profits my technology generated, profits Bridget and Danica told you didn't exist. I walk toward the large glass doors leading to the rain-swept balcony. The crowd parts for me like the sea. The storm is breaking. The heavy rain has softened to a drizzle and the air smells clean, washed new. Avery, my lawyer, is there waiting with a small table and a set of documents shielded from the rain by the building's overhang. In front of the mayor, the union rep, and my father, I sign the papers that transfer my controlling stake in the port's bonds to the newly formed public trust. I am giving the power away, putting it into the hands of the community to protect it from ever being hoarded by one family again. The decisive outcome is here. The power has shifted. I turn to Louisa, who has followed me outside, her expression one of stunned wonder. A trust this important needs a director who has spent her life preserving Greyhaven's history, not trying to sell it off for parts, I say, my voice filled with a warmth I'd forgotten I had. I'm naming Louisa Vega as the executive director of the Greyhaven Lighthouse Trust. Stunned, Louisa looks at me, then at the great lighthouse standing sentinel over the harbor, then back at me. Her eyes, which had been filled with worry all night, are now filled with a fierce, determined light. She accepts. The gala is over. The luxury cars have fled, leaving the wet parking lot mostly empty save for the pickup trucks of the dockworkers who have stayed. A new equilibrium is forming right here in the museum hall. Louisa, Eli Turner, the harbor master, and Owen Ramirez are huddled around a table with me, already sketching out plans on a cocktail napkin. It's not a party anymore. It's a strategy session. The work has already begun. I see the cost of this victory made visible. My father stands alone near the entrance, a solitary figure in the grand, emptying room. He watches me for a long moment, a silent conversation passing between us that I can't decipher. He gives a small, uncertain nod before turning and walking out into the damp night. The chasm between us is real, a canyon carved by years of neglect and a single night of truth. I don't know if it can ever be crossed. The opening image of my night is echoed with sharp, satisfying contrast. I am no longer in the corner in standard seating. I am at the center of the room, surrounded not by sycophants and whispers but by partners and plans. The quiet, suffocating hierarchy is gone. I look out the grand window. The storm has passed completely. In the first pale light of dawn, the lighthouse stands tall against a clearing sky, its powerful beam extinguished by the rising sun. It doesn't need to shine in the daylight. It's just there, solid and secure, watching over the harbor. It belongs to everyone now. They tried to put her in the corner, but they forgot she owned the building. If you've ever had to fight to be seen, share your story in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell for more stories of epic revenge and hard-won justice.